Where were we? Oh, yeah.
Self-inquiry, no, you don't need it.
No, I like self-inquiry because it's really the most non-action there can be. You're not doing anything, you're just asking a question. Yeah? So you're just asking, who is it that thinks they're doing something? And it's, let's say if you went to a house and you knocked on the door 1,000 times, it would be obvious sooner or later that no one's home. Yeah? So you ask, who am I? Who am I? No one ever shows up. So you should, and that's you. You're that which is already here. It doesn't show up. Yeah? If there was ever a call it responded to, it was an eternal call because it's always here at all times. So basically, you know, who am I or where do I come from is it's not meant to produce an answer. It's meant to leave nothing. And then you get nothing is everything. Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that there's not one process or any specific process you need to follow to get to the self-inquiry? Because there's a million retreats out and paths and...
Well, I believe in a way they're coming to realize that's maybe the most efficient way. But that was from the old Vedas. The who am I? Ramana didn't come up with it. He just brought it back into vogue in a way. But it's in the oldest scriptures in the world, so to speak. That who am I? There was always going to be that because there's a sense of onness, yeah. And then the mental state rushes in and tries to tell us what that implies or means, which is it's you as a body. But there's that the onness has a strong sense of being before everything else. So even the title of Paul doesn't seem to be before the onness. It's sort of something that was put on something, yeah? And after you have so many stories put on something, but the onness is still totally as it's always been. We were sharing it last week. You know, the most heinous act that ever happened through me, there was still seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, and touching. And the most exalted act happening, there was still seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, and touching. The conscious contact or the sense of consciousness or onness doesn't seem to be affected by all our shenanigans. Yeah, I was seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching just as much in the jail as I am in a temple. Literally, yeah. The baseline has never been affected by all the stuff going on top of it, seemingly. But we would like to think what's on top of it is prior to it. And now consciousness is seen once again as a quality you have, and then immediately, if it's your quality, it can seem to be lacking. You feel like you're unconscious. But isn't that consciousness fueling all that possibility? How could you feel unconscious unless you were conscious? So you want to deny the consciousness and verify that you're unconscious? That's what the selfing wants to do. It wants to replace what's so with what it seems to take to be so. So you're now unconscious, and your whole day is trying to become conscious. So you don't go to one talk, you go to 3 freaking talks. Yeah? You see so many different messages, it doesn't go anywhere. It's like you put so much seasoning in the food, you can't fucking taste the food. And the food is basically nothing. You are what you're looking for. Put it to the test. It's like we did last week. This is like a, this is like just like a spiritual shoe store. You wandered in to the shoe store. You sit down, and now maybe you're looking to get some hiking boots because you know your spiritual journey is going to take you to the Himalayas or shit like that. So you have an idea what kind of shoe you want, but the guy or the woman doesn't listen. They bring another pair of shoes, and then if you put them on, wear them. Yeah? So this message is you came here, if it resonates in something, fucking wear the shoes. Yeah? So if it resonates that there's a strange, peculiar thing happening here. Reality has seemingly forgot that it's reality and is now looking for reality. If that sort of triggers a sense, hey, I feel like I've been under that activity for years, then fucking buy those shoes. Start walking around in those shoes because they fit. Going back to practices may not fit anymore. Maybe you're down past the road of practices and processes. It doesn't mean everyone has to be down the road of past practices and processes, yeah? And this is not going to be on the row of buildings of non-duality is not a path or a process. I don't care how much you try to use it as such, it's not going to budge because it's the inherent condition. It's just a denial of what's going on that isn't true. It's not a truth. It isn't. It just is what is. It's not a truth. It's not a falsehood. But here, where we're taking a falsehood to be true, it's a damn good negation of it. So you see what you're not, and that's what you are. Not as a seer, but as being. Because you're being what you truly are, which is aware. People are not being a beautiful person if they have a bad hair day. They're not being, you know, there's so many things that can, exile them from that being a beautiful person, like a fart or something else. Yeah? This is you're being aware. That's it. You're being aware of the consciousness, the conscious contact you're now aware of. Yeah? You're not that which is in conscious contact. You're aware of the activity called conscious contact. Yeah? You're being awareness. To be something takes no thought or effort. To try to do yourself into being takes a lot of thought or effort. And you can't do and have yourself into being. It's impossible because you already are being. It would be a redundancy. Just like you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. These masters weren't sadists. They aren't trying to fuck you up. They're not trying to ruin your whole 20 years of spiritual seeking. If you were Nancy or Paul, it would make sense to look for the Buddha, but it makes no sense to look for the Buddha if you're the Buddha. And obviously what they're implying is you're the Buddha, because they're not saying, oh, Nancy. You can't use Nancy to seek the Buddha. You'll never be successful. That's the basis of most people's life here. They're trying to use Nancy to seek the Buddha. It makes total sense when they look at what Nancy seems to be to them. But it's not saying Nancy. It says you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. So there's an implying that it's a negation, a subtle one. He doesn't want to fucking hit you with a 2x4. It's a subtle negation of Nancy. And then you go, oh, from the Buddha's point of view, it makes no sense for the Buddha to seek the Buddha because it's busily being the Buddha. And in a sense, while Nancy is seeking the Buddha, that's being the Buddha. So now the Buddha is seeking the Buddha, and for the Buddha to realize it's the Buddha that's seeking the Buddha will never fucking work. So that the Buddha will see this is a failed system and stop trying to find the Buddha, and then suddenly, bam, oh, it is the Buddha. Not as if it was produced when it gets hit that it is the Buddha, it's always been that way. That's what dawns on it. Hey, I've always been the Buddha. I was the Buddha when I thought I was Nancy seeking the Buddha. I was the Buddha when I was so disappointed as Nancy not finding the Buddha. And I was still the Buddha when I was seething with anger that I thought other people had found the Buddha, as Jim and Paul and Mary. And it really pisses me off as Nancy that I haven't found the Buddha, at least before them. But the point is, what can a failed system show you? What can a failed methodology show you? That it's failed. That's the beauty of it. So even a path that you go on for 30 years and you think was totally unsuccessful was totally successful because you're not going to get on another path again. Yeah? You're done with that. You've gone to the spiritual shoe store, you were looking for some more running shoes or shoes that really travel well because you're going on a lot of retreats, and suddenly someone puts this shoe on, like a pair of like comfy slippers, and they fit perfectly, and then you stop fucking doing a lot of shit. You sit there and now you're lounging around. Yeah, and the shoe fits and you wear it. Now you try to go back to the other shoes, I'm telling you, it's a disservice. When the Buddha, having seen it's the Buddha, goes back to look for the Buddha, then there's a dishonoring of the Buddha. Yeah. That's the message. That's always the message. There's nothing needs to be added. Everything needs to be subtracted. That's it. Yeah? Now, maybe spiritual practices can subtract imaginary numbers that are weighing you down. Then go ahead. It's still the Buddha dreaming itself out of looking for the Buddha. The end result is just like the beginning. You are the Buddha. There's no point where you've lost that. Therefore, there can't be a point when you find it. It's like the necklace story. If the necklace isn't truly lost, how can you really believe in the joy of finding it? Because you never found it. It had never gone anywhere. You have to see it's all dreaming. How could you call this event? So the old story that Ramana Maharshi uses about the necklace, I'm going to paraphrase it. But here, it's implying something very simple. The lady had a necklace on. It had never gone anywhere. Suddenly, for some reason, she thinks she's lost the necklace. So then she starts asking all her friends and spiritual people, can you please find me the necklace? Now, some people who are in the business of looking for the necklace will say, yes, sign up, come to my retreats, and I'll help you find the necklace. I won't be in the retreat room with you. I'll be having lattes, but you'll be there paying me $4,000. And I assure you, sooner or later, we're going to find the necklace together because I found the necklace. And this is the way I found the necklace. And look at me. I got a loving gaze. I'm feeling like I'm fucking pretty good. I got all the babes. So yeah, I want to find the necklace like he did or she did. All right, so you sign up. But you've never lost the necklace. So if there's a feeling that you're totally bummed out because you lost the necklace, and then when you find the necklace, you have a great amount of joy, what is that but dreaming? Because the necklace never went anywhere. You never lost it, therefore you can never find it. But the story you live, as the action figure, is you lost the necklace, then you went through tons of efforts and spent a lot of money at travel agents to go places to find, where the fuck is that necklace? And then someone finally saves you a lot of time, usually after a lot of time has passed, and says, it's right around your neck. So, but still, the stubbornness of being you, once it's shown that it's on your neck, you still think you just found it. And then you start writing blogs, I found the necklace. For any of those out there still looking for the necklace, I found the necklace. And I'm willing to tell you how I did it for a slight fee. Yeah? Truly, it's true. I mean, you think it's joking, but in a way, it's always like this. You're paying money to find something you want to verify that you lost. That's playing God. Truly. And so if you want to do it that way, that's how it's going to work. You may have to go to 25 retreats, 30 retreats, and then suddenly you may get it. But if you seemingly get it after 25 retreats, what's going to be the sense of it's always been that way? So when the necklace is found, it tells you it never gone anywhere. So what gets negated? That you found the necklace. What truly gets negated is you lost the necklace. You never lost it. You never found it. It's always available at all times. And usually the mental state is incredibly bummed out because there's nothing the fuck to do. You can't write blogs about it, really. You would just leave an open space. Another day. Another cloud formation. A Saturday that feels no different than Friday. And I'm expecting a Sunday to be the exact same. How many products do you sell on the side of the road then? None. There's no fucking road. So this is just, it's truly like a spiritual shoe store. If the shoe fits, wear it. If you're done, you're done. If you're done with that processing, then you're done. And honor it. And open up to the availability. What's going to scare the mental state, it takes no time at all to be you. At all. Like St. Francis says, what's looking is what you're looking for. it didn't say what's looking and then 80 pages of what you have to fulfill as requirements to become what you're looking for. It doesn't say that. It's very, very, very direct. What's looking is what you're looking for. Now, it's not like what's looking, all right, 3 years of heavy practice, you will become what you're looking for. It says what's looking is what you're looking for. The what, it doesn't say who's looking, what's looking. What's looking has always been what's looking. Unfortunately, we've been using it to look for itself. So the who shows up, the sense of view, and now what's looking is used to find what's looking. Or the Buddha is used to find the Buddha. Or light is used to find light. Or Big M mind is used to find mind. That's what they're trying to warn us about. And if you're at this point and you're at this spiritual shoe store, maybe it's time for it to be entertained, not thought about, entertaining it. Yeah? You don't need to read 8 books. Take what's looking is what you're looking for, lay out there, look at this fucking clear sky, and just let it go. Let the mind go and see what happens. You're going to be your own verification. How is a dead master going to affirm something happened? Or they appeared in a dream? Maybe, maybe not. I'm sure they didn't think they appeared in your dream. They weren't tracking, all right, I'm going to appear in 850 of my... He fucking went to sleep. He was probably dreaming of other things.
The mind is going to let the mind go.
What?
The mind isn't going to let the mind go. Because I was like, yeah, that's great. I'm going to lift it to the sky. I mean,
Self isn't going to get out of self. You're talking about mind as the mind you think you know, the thoughts and shit. Well, I'm not talking about mind like that. Mind has never held on to the mental processes, so there's no need to let go. Nothing has affected what is. All of your yappings and shenanigans haven't left one mark at all. That's the difficulty. The mental state, the scariest thing to the mental state is irrelevance. It wants to have a role. Remember, have you ever, maybe none of you have ever done this, but let's say you're going out with someone and the person really loves you. And then you start screwing with them in a little way. You don't want to test if they love you or not. And then you push the person or push the person. And at one point, they go over the edge, and now they don't have any love for you anymore. And then when you go up there, they don't care at all about you, and it infuriates the fucking mental state. And the mental state's now bemoans, I should have... It's like I had a guy, he gave me a perfect example, though through a very harsh experience. I used to do talks in Australia, and this guy had a beautiful girlfriend, and he used to host me. And it was basically, he seemed to be quite indifferent to her, yes, when I was there. And he'd be doing this thing and this and that. Then one night, she had had enough, and she left him. And then he called me up, and he says, I just lost the source of all my happiness. Now, he'd been around the source of his happiness for a few years. He didn't seem to be accessing the source that much. But suddenly, it just happened so coincidentally that once she shut the door, she was suddenly the source of all his happiness. And then he was going to try to kill himself. It's amazing. It's an extreme, but that's what it's like. And I'm telling you, the selfing wants to include itself in the story of its own absence. It wants its own absence to have something to do with it. Like you're going to cause your own absence. That would be presence. Self can't get out of self. Don't you get it? Stop fucking trying to get out of what you're not in. And have a good fucking day. Jesus Christ. Do you think the bell is going to be rung after you withheld yourself for fucking 8 years from every day because of that special one day? when you think something, you blew it in a way. This is the day. This is the depth of understanding right now. Your clearest understanding is your ability to enjoy here, now. Not that you're going to enjoy a mystical heaven 800 lifetimes away and just be like this all day now. No. An ability that you cannot have to accept what's unacceptable. All that. That's signs of something's working in your life. That this Saturday isn't being compared to any other Saturday. At all. This talk is not being compared to any other talk. You're so here because you've realized the idea that you are not here is totally insane. You're not totally here because you've got here, you've realized you can't be anywhere else. That's how you're totally present, is you realize you cannot be anywhere else. Impossible. Then you have immunity to what's not happening. You're not bringing... See, the world in these talks starts at the word but, yeah? So you're feeling the presence, you like the space, but, how am I going to feel Tuesday? But, fuck it, enjoy it now. This is the greatest insurance that you will be available tomorrow, is being available now. And I'm telling you, you cannot not be available. It's the easiest thing. You don't even need to learn how to ride the bike. You know you're riding the bike right now. What's waiting for a goal of this is not you. Lose interest in it. It's what you're not that wants this to be a goal that it arrives at so it can be the star of it. This is ordinary dog shit awareness. You're not going to get a black belt. You're not going to get any fucking rank. It's just being seemingly awake to being awake. And then you can seem to be asleep to that, but it doesn't change the fact that you're awake. I mean, it's obvious. The seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching has no volition in it. You're not deciding what you're going to see. If you look this way, you're seeing fucking whatever's there. And it's the most constant you there is. The mental you you're entertaining is totally fucking fabricated. The only way it can have any legs is it stands on consciousness. And then it claims to be before the consciousness. Now you can live a life thinking you're unconscious and then seek to be conscious, all the while being completely conscious at all times. When you hear people describe depression with such clarity, did the clarity of mind go anywhere? No. That's what's describing the depression, is clarity. How could depression describe depression so beautifully, so clearly? Depression is foggy and confusing because the clarity of mind is there. It always is there. This isn't a one shoe fits all. If you feel like you got to do something and you've set it up that way, you better fucking do it. Really. Or it's going to ruin your day. If you believe that you have to meditate every day and you missed it, then your whole day is going to try to make up for it. You're going to try to get home at lunch and sit for an hour and try to... What's that but playing God? Let God be God. God doesn't want this. You don't have to wear a spiritual straitjacket. Yes.
But what about like attach? Okay, I'm gonna use the bad word.
That's what I'm gonna do now. If it's a stupid question, I'm gonna hit you right now anyway.
What's happening?
All right, now, anyone want to ask a question?
Yeah, I did.
Well, when you had your experience of the aperture, sort of, you know, and there was something where there was like no mind, like at some point you crossed some threshold where you were completely in that no mind space where there was no shadow of a doubt. I think that's what we're all trying to get to, or like other teachers.
Get to future. Get here now.
I think you were just aware of being hit.
Doesn't matter. This is gonna be a great video. You're right. You're right.
I just like throwing stones. Any questions?
Roland has a question.
Roland, I will accept the question from Roland.
Oh.
It's not from Roland.
Oh, you got a lawyer in the room and a camera, so watch it.
Could you speak on
Roland
depression
doesn't need it.
a bit more?
Eh?
Depression? And like,
I've never been depressed. I don't know. The way people share about it, I've been bummed out. I haven't, but bummed out, but I don't know, so I can't really speak of it. Because again, the experiences here are run by subject, feeling like you're the subject. So something that could be really tiny or almost like not there can seem like a huge mountain because of the mind that's dreaming it. Yeah?
What you said about the sunlight being focused, and like bearing down on separate stuff, that really helped me with recognizing when I started to think about depression. This biochemical
I don't
depression.
know. I don't think you really need to know about depression, but maybe how to get out of it would be just doing service. And you've got to get up, because I know a lot of people, they get paralyzed, and you just got to get out of the house, right? Rub shoulders with others. It's because you're obviously at that point, I would imagine the interest and attention is so tightly orbiting the story of you that you need to have something to pull you out of that gravitational pull. You're not, you're sort of just, there's got to be something to do. Yeah, I find with the people I've talked to with depression, they got to get out. Yeah, because you see, like self-centeredness is like a horizontal. If we had like a X-ray type thing, there's usually a ring of attention and interest. Like, this is an imaginary figment, yeah? So the mind collates around this, and that's self-centeredness, yeah? And for some, like addicts and everything, it's extremely self-centered. So it's like the fabric is more tightly wound, so you don't see almost anything. It's all about you, yeah? So if you can't, you gotta have something pierce through there so that energy, instead of being like this, can get pulled out. Because the sense of like relief and presence is expansion, not contraction, yeah? Where I would say depression is a very deep contraction onto the figmented you, right? But I don't know, I don't know what's going on.
I try to experience what's looking, and there's nothing there. And you know, there's a little relief in just making that effort.
Yeah. Whatever. Any questions? No.
Is that why you recommend service?
What?
Is it what you were just saying, to get out of the...
Yeah, service is, in my experience, like in addiction, obviously the activity of the addiction is obsession with self, right? The root of it is identification as a self. So what would be obsession with self is everything is seen as pertaining to me. So constantly, everything is being brought. And not just here, because there is no here. It goes into I see only the past and like this stuff. So it's almost like it's like putting a marathon runner in a closet. So of course, weird things are gonna happen to a marathon runner in the closet. Isn't it? It needs to run. So your mind needs to entertain, not being fucking saddled with the limited possibility self-centeredness offers. Which you can't even entertain that you're inherently okay. You hope for that you will be okay. That's a robbery in itself.
Isn't that everyone?
I'm not saying it doesn't matter if it's everyone. It's just to see if it's you or not. Because basically you are everyone.
Very, very good.
Just come here. I have total faith in this message. I really do. I don't think you need to do much. I don't. I wouldn't, to me it's an insult to think you need so much help. Because you don't. I think you need to hear it and maybe have it repeated, because the mind's moving at a very fast speed, so you never know when that right mail slot's going to appear at the right day. But once that message gets in, or once that sperm gets to the mother egg, then the mind will conceive something, and it will conceive, I'm not that. And in conceiving it's not that, not conceiving, oh, I can be these conceptual ideas, but seeing what it's not is it. Yeah? So when you see you're not what all the activities are implying, you're not what all the memories see you as a body, you're not what all the thought system implies you are, which is a body. When you're not that, you find out what you are by seeing what you're not. That's sort of, if there's any way, it's that way. Yeah? It's a negation of that which needs to take away. Yeah? And then you see, when you see what you're not, I'm telling you, one of the qualities will be that it's always been exactly the way it is. Nothing has ever happened to you. There's been no wall between you and anything. It's all been dreamed. It's all dreaming. Yeah.
You can see that on ayahuasca. You can't see that in...
But see, again, it was you that claims the ayahuasca, and now you think you got to keep doing ayahuasca.
No, I can't believe
That's fine. Ayahuasca is fine. But the thing is, what happens is, you've got to see the original heist, or you'll be looking from it. So some people call it the greatest mystery or the problem, and basically it boils down to this presupposing of a non-existent thing being you, yeah, and then wanting to get salvation for the non-existent thing. That's fine. That's the dreaming here. A non-existent thing's wanting, but you could travel lighter through it, yeah? You don't have to take it so fucking heavy. If you saw your whole life you lived for a piece of luggage, do you know what I mean? Because when you actually left, the luggage never comes with you. It would be a rude awakening, wouldn't it? You've been waiting for the luggage to get it. You've taken the luggage on every trip, but the luggage has never seen Thailand. It's yes, you see it. You are what you're looking for.
But for me personally, why this message is really good is when I start doing anything, I get very disciplined, and with that comes a building of the ego and expecting that I deserve something to happen because I've suffered enough to, and I've done a good.
Well, maybe this is what you deserved. Now you can put it down, or realize there was no you holding it up.
Yeah, it comes back though, but I think I.
But it's not you. It comes back to who?
It's a habit.
So what? The mental state is going to keep asserting, it's going to keep running the same story that it's you. It doesn't need, it's not going to stop when there's a huge awakening, because you are the huge awakening, and it continues. Yeah? You are already a huge awakening, and the mental state will keep asserting that you're a body. Why fucking waste any time trying to convince it? Just see you're not that. And if you can't see it, entertain it and come to talks, and then something will either take root or not. Yeah? I have faith in it, because that's what happened with me. I heard this message, and it was like an unspoken yes that's been reverberating ever since, and it has always been reverberating. And in time here, it has proven to be the last answer, which to me is the greatest answer of all when it negates any need for another answer. Yeah? Now, I'm not looking for what I can't find. I'm looking for what I can find. Some shade, a coffee, a nice movie. And I can have a feeling of success because I'm going to find it. but we're busily trying to look for what cannot be found. You have not lost the necklace.
It's a good name for this talk. It's not a question.
I'm going to strangle you in a second.
It's not a question.
That'll be the next name.
The new necklace.
The new necklace. The hand necklace.
That necklace, I might
Do you feel this? Do you think you've lost this?
Whatever it takes. You got it on film.
See, that's the thing. It doesn't take anything. That's what we're missing. We'll take whatever it takes as long as there's something to take. But we won't get, there's nothing to take. Like in AA we say, you got to be willing to go to any lengths, and sometimes you won't be called to any length at all. Oh, it's fun. That's the hardest one. I mean, I don't need to do anything? No. But I'm going to do tons of shit. In a sense, yes, but actually no, because it's not you doing it. This thing has animation, yeah, and it has a role to play, and it's playing its role out. And from here, the brain only sees everything as how it pertains to the body. That's the programming, yeah? Do you want to be confined in this? Do you want to think you stop behind your cheekbone? Really? All of this, the context is what we are. This is like a small moving little, like a trail of light going on a huge infinite screen. It doesn't deserve that much fucking attention. No one else is thinking about you like you're thinking about you. Not even close. I mean, maybe your wife or husband have thought 20,000 thoughts about you, but you're up in the zillions. You know what I mean? There has been so much thought laid on at the altar of fucking you, and yet the selfing still demands more. Constantly. It's never satiated. How much more can it be thought about, and still it cannot be you. It can only seem to appear to be you. That's the highest it can reach. It will never succeed in its desire. It can never become a you. It can only seem to be you to what's so, which is us. It's the statement of false evidence is appearing real. How could false evidence appear real unless it appeared real to what's real? You and I are reality.
Is that God?
Who cares?
Okay, thank you.
Call it awesome.
Okay.
Doesn't fucking matter. Don't have to call it anything. You're being it. Why would you want to call something that's always being?
It's just that it's referred
What you want to?
to.
So I want to stop. Put a tag on it. Now I'm being. That's not it. Just let it. It's the joy is it doesn't have a saddle.
So through the day, what's the, like, when thought comes up, you just ignore thought, basically?
No, you don't ignore thought. You're going to hear thoughts, but you don't listen to them. Because why? Not as an effort, you've lost interest because you've entertained what's being presented here, that you're not the object that's being thought about. And I'm telling you, you see the example of what it's like when something isn't about you. You lose interest in it. We used to always have the story of there's a meeting in the other room and there's a beautiful girl that I'd like to know who I haven't talked to. So while I'm seemingly doing this talk, a lot of my interest is trying to listen to what she's saying. Because I'm hoping she's going to say, hey, I like that guy Paul in the other room. So then I run into her at the coffee, hey, would you like to eat, and everything like that, with the hopes that, you know, I'll have kids with her and never a divorce. Yeah? So my interest is totally into listening to her. I don't give a shit what's happening here. Suddenly, so someone notices it and says, Paul, you know, you're here now doing a talk. You should be, and I go, yeah, but my interest isn't listening to that. It's like waiting to hear her say something. So finally she says something. I really like that guy Matt, and my name is Paul. What happens? I lose interest in the conversation. Like that. I don't have to send Navy SEAL 16 to retrieve it. It just goes, and where does the interest go? Here. Yeah, like that. Like a boomerang. It comes right back. So you're not going to lose interest by gaining interest into losing interest. It's not going to happen. You're going to lose interest because it's not about you. That's it. See, the system has a fail-safe mechanism. In AA, we make this statement: you've got to quit playing God. All right, that's the big problem, the mental state. So, all right, so let's say that invitation's offered. You got to quit playing God, and it's received by that which is playing God. So now that which is playing God tries to stop playing God. Isn't that playing God? And it would just go on infinitely. So you can't lose interest by entering a 2-year program of trying to lose interest. That would be a lot of interest. Yeah? You lose interest by seeing it's not you. And then there's no dualistic shift. The attempt to lose interest isn't producing more interest. This is clean. You lose interest, and then the interest is freed from the dead preoccupation and enriches your day. You're here. Yeah. I mean, you never get gypped. You're here at every second, sleeping and awake. You never have, oh, I missed something. You don't miss fucking anything. That's all what negation is. Negation is a very clean way of not falling into the trap of when I try to lose interest, that's also interest. Or self trying to get out of self, or using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. So now you just realize you're not Paul, and then when the Buddha, which is always available, goes, hey, it looks like I'm looking for the Buddha. What? Yes? Because the Buddha ain't going to look for the Buddha. It will just enjoy the being the Buddha. And it will look for things it can find, which is not the Buddha. I can't say it any clearer, and I'm fucking gonna hit someone now. I like hitting Nancy. All right, that's it, eh? Yes? Can we hit that red button?
Throw on the camera.
So let's pass it.